Sunday, February 6, 2022. It'll be a very interesting week in these markets ahead. A few things I want to talk about on this video today. I want to start out with shrinkflation. We went to Panda Express last night, and it's so obvious what is going on. They can no longer hide the shrinkflation or the stagflation that is taking place. But we went to Panda Express last night. Of course, as you all know, anywhere you go, prices are up. Now, I did get the same amount of rice that I normally get, but I got less shrimp and I got less steak. And I would say that the steak and shrimp was down 40 to 50%, not 10 or 15%, 40 to 50%, and I'm paying more. So I guess welcome to shrinkflation, ladies and gentlemen. You know, these words that we just thought were so strange a year or two ago now are the norm. Stagflation is going to continue to intensify in this economy, and it's a bad combination. Stagflation and shrinkflation happening at the same time. I was talking to my buddy Matt the other day, and he said, boy, these markets, JB, must love inflation and surging oil prices. And we'll see what happens this week, but we're now looking at a 30-year fixed rate right now at 3.85% on average. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but let's continue with this article on CNBC. Fresh inflation data could fuel further market volatility in the week ahead. The CPI will be reported this Thursday morning. It's expected to come in at 7.2%. This will be the hottest CPI since 1982. And think about if they were really telling you the truth, what this number would be. I went to shadowstats.com today, and this number right now currently is over 15%. It's too bad that they just won't tell you and I the truth. But imagine if we knew the truth. Well, you know it, I know the truth. But imagine if the majority of people knew the truth, what they would do, the panic, the devastation we would see in these markets if people actually knew the truth or wanted to actually accept the truth. Because a lot of people, I think, know that this is all smoke and mirrors, but they just can't accept it. And of course, greed is playing in. People don't care how they make money. They know the markets are fraudulent, but they're making money and they don't care. But just imagine if people really could accept the truth or knew the truth, what would happen to these markets in literally a minute. They would begin to collapse. Treasury yields jump after larger than expected jobs gain. 10-year yield at highest level since 2019, currently sitting at 1.91%. Expect rate hikes, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's great. Unemployment is only 4%. You've got this incredible jobs report that just came out. The consumer is extremely strong. But how can all this be when consumer sentiment is going down? It's heading the wrong direction. Yet with all these jobs that we're seeing in the jobs report, how can consumer sentiment be down? Weakest holiday shopping season since 2008. We just had the weakest holiday shopping season this past December. Consumer sentiment down. But they're telling you and I everything's okay. The recovery, 467 jobs gained in January. I looked at shadowstats.com today for unemployment numbers. Unemployment at shadowstats.com currently 24.5%. So let me ask you this, comment down below. Do you believe real unemployment is 4% or do you believe it's 24.5%? Which one do you believe? Which one makes more sense to you? Which one is more obvious? There's no doubt that when you look at 47 million people quitting their jobs last year, 238,000 people just filed first-time jobless claims last week. We got this completely artificial, outrageous jobs report the other day, which is just telling you how much they're lying to you. You know very well that the unemployment number is not 4%. You know, we have a trade deficit, record-breaking trade deficit in this country, but the trade deficit in December was $101 billion, another record. All these records we're setting are not the records we want to be setting. Over 100 million people not in the labor force. I mean, these are records we don't want. Record inflation, record debt, record deficits. You know, and there's still people out there saying, don't be negative. I have a very, very comfortable life, and I thank God for that. But there's no way I cannot live day to day and not be concerned at what I'm seeing. Because people around me and people around you are being affected every day by this. You're going to see friends of yours, associates, acquaintances, people that you work with. You're going to know somebody that is going to become homeless. It's absolutely impossible at this point that we're all not going to know somebody that does not become homeless. And when I see what is taking place, I cannot believe it's not even worse at this point. But this is because we don't even know how much money they're printing at this point. You know, the recovery, $6+ trillion, and yet things are crumbling all around me. People aren't getting help. Small businesses aren't getting help. And we have inflation creeping above 15%. Wolfstreet.com, rough day in bond market, treasury yield spike, 30-year fixed mortgage rates near 4%. Where's the magic number? This article came out a couple days ago. As I said earlier in this video, 30-year fixed mortgage rate right now sitting at 3.85%. And when do we see 4%? We're watching the 10-year right now, and it is flashing that you're going to see interest rates going up on your credit cards, personal loans, homes. It is going to be becoming more expensive to borrow money, ladies and gentlemen, no doubt about it. And this is why we're seeing these bond yields going up, because the banks are already getting ready. They know that rate hikes are coming. We don't know how many or how severe they will be, but at the end of the day, it won't be enough because if the Fed does not get ahead of inflation, if they don't raise interest rates above the rate of inflation, it's meaningless in my opinion. What it will do is it's going to make it harder for people to buy a home, borrow money, live day to day. If you think your credit card bills are expensive now, wait till you see what's coming. But this won't affect the 1%, but if they raise rates a little bit, it's going to affect the average American. Now, I'm seeing some news over the last 24 hours in regards to Ford Motors. They're going to shutter 8 factories due to persistent supply chain disruptions. Ford is a gigantic company. They're going to close 8 factories located in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. The Detroit automaker will also run a single shift or a reduced schedule at its factories in Dearborn, Kentucky and Louisville, while removing overtime at its Oakville factory in Canada. All changes begin tomorrow. Now, I would think in a free market, in a market that's not manipulated, the news of this would shatter the markets tomorrow. But more than likely, the markets will just go up because they just seem to go up with more bad news. But I mean, think about this. Ford is a gigantic automaker, and this is not good news. Chip shortage forces Ford to cut production of F-150, Bronco, and other important vehicles on CNBC this morning. How can markets go up when we cannot even produce automobiles now at this point? We can't even get the ships unloaded. We're not manufacturing anything here. And now what we are making here, and I realize we don't make these vehicles 100% here in America. They're put together, parts are made in other parts of the world, and you know, these vehicles, some of them are assembled here or Mexico or Canada. So they're not really an American-made car, but they do support a lot of employment here still. If they're not selling cars, this hurts the dealerships, the people that work at those dealerships. And again, this all falls back on the chip shortage. But you know, all the way down to the truck drivers that deliver these vehicles. But how about the people working at the production lines at these plants? They're not going to be working. So again, if we're not making automobiles in America, which is one of the few things that we do partially make, I know we don't make all the vehicles here, but we do employ a decent amount of people in the auto industry, correct? So now, because of the chip shortage, Ford to cut production of the F-150 Bronco and other important vehicles, and shutting down 8 factories. Unbelievable. Gas prices at pump highest since 2013. I go back to this question: how in the world are people doing it? When you look at the price of a new car, what are we looking at? $46,000 now for a brand new car. Used cars at all-time highs, and I don't know when we're going to see relief at these dealerships. Not with the news that I'm seeing now that we're continuing to have chip shortages. So this could play out throughout 2022. I don't know, don't have a crystal ball, but it is another reminder of why we need to be manufacturing things here, like chips, semiconductors. If we don't, we're going to continue in the future to land up in this same scenario. And you got to think, if China takes over Taiwan, what happens to the chip industry throughout the globe? Imagine the monopoly China would have at that point. But again, we are so reliant on so many other countries other than ourselves. It puts us in such a bad situation. And it all could have been avoided. It all could have been avoided. But now we are at the beck and call of other countries. And just imagine if we begin to have disagreements with some of these countries. What happens to our pharmaceuticals? 90% of our pharmaceuticals come from other countries, Asia. And just imagine what would happen if we began to have disagreements with countries in Asia. What would happen to pharmaceuticals? What happens to chips, semiconductors, cheap products, cheap goods? Be a very, very big disaster. And we're not prepared to deal with that. And that's a very, very big possibility. Manhattan retail rents plunge without office workers and tourists. Average rents in the borough plunged 14% in the fourth quarter of 2021 compared to a year ago. Rents in Times Square fell the most, down 37%. This only decreased, get this, it only decreased availability by 1%. We are no doubt witnessing the death of big cities. And it's also happening to many of our smaller cities. I was just down on El Paseo, which is a very exclusive shopping area out here in the desert. They call it the Rodeo Drive of the desert. And I was driving by the Daily Grill, and about 2 stores next to the Daily Grill, another one bites the dust. I just saw that yesterday, actually. Another one bites the dust. And when I look at our mall out here, which used to be Westfield, now in foreclosure, 20-30% of the stores gone. Who's paying rent in that mall? I have no idea. And I go back to this article on The Hedge. American Dream Mega Mall has just $820 in reserve account after making a $9.3 million interest payment. I talked about this on my last video. This mega mall in New Jersey, $820 left in the reserve account. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot make it up. And again, I have a very comfortable life. And I know a lot of people like to accuse me of being negative and pessimistic and doom and gloom. I sleep great at night, ladies and gentlemen. I have a good life. I've paid off all my debt. I'm definitely moving out of this state, and I cannot wait to do that. But I have the ability to do that, and I know a lot of people don't. And I know that the people that do are going to do the same thing. But there are people out there, the same people that accuse me and judge me, I don't think they really understand the economy. I don't know where these people live, but I wish these people would share the knowledge and the information of where this economy is booming, please. Because again, I want everybody to talk, I want everybody to comment, but if you're going to make a judgment or an accusation, give us some data. I mean, I'm sitting out here with 10 articles today from CNBC, The Hedge. I use Wall Street Journal, CNN, Fox Business, wolfstreet.com, all of them. And I like to share the data with you, but a lot of people out there just, and these same people, they're telling you you're negative, you don't need to put food and water away, don't worry about gold, just buy cryptos, they're always going to go up, don't be negative, and enjoy today. Please show us the data where the economy is booming. And not this artificial news, because nobody can believe that we gained 467,000 jobs in January. And if we did, like they said, the majority of them are leisure and hospitality, which does really nothing for this economy. But how many of these jobs, so-called jobs that we gained in January, are full-time? How many of them have benefits? How many of them pay more than minimum wage? How many of them pay minimum wage? How many of them were leisure and hospitality? 151,000 were in leisure and hospitality. So again, to these people, I worry about you. I worry about these people who believe that this is normal and that this is just negativity, that everything's okay, that your bank account's safe, your pension's safe, your job is safe. No, and no. Your banks are not safe, your jobs are not safe, your pensions are not safe. None of them are safe. And if you live in the real world, you realize this. But if you have data on a positive economy, please share it with us. New private currency uses bills filled with real gold. This is called gold backs. This may be a good asset to look at. I thought it was pretty interesting. This also was on The Hedge a couple days ago. And what it does is this turns gold into functional money. And what it is, it's a paper bill which includes a tiny percentage of gold. Jeremy Corden, president of Goldback, used new technology to create a bill that sandwiches a particle of thin gold layered between two layers of polymer. The result can be worth as little as $3.80. So you can go to the store and buy a loaf of bread with one of these bills. And I bring this up because somebody wrote me, I don't know, maybe about a week ago, and just said, you can't spend gold. You can't go to the store and spend gold. Gold's going to be worthless during a collapse. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a collapse right now, and gold is not worthless. It's over $1,800 an ounce, and nothing. We've had no big events take place. They're continuing to paper over these markets, and they're continuing to keep rates at zero. They're buying bonds and treasuries still. They're pumping money into these markets, buying these markets. Everything's still fine, and gold is sitting above 1,800. It will not be sitting at 1,800 when things implode. Now, they may come down. Look, there's no doubt we're going to see volatility in gold and silver, especially silver. We're watching that every day. But when the dust settles, as it did after the 2008 collapse, we saw gold hit an all-time high. We saw silver hit an all-time high. And it's very important to have precious metals when the dust settles. But I thought this was a really interesting idea, because you can carry this in your wallet and you can go and buy small ticket items with this. And we saw this. And going back to this person who said, oh, you can't go and buy a loaf of bread, you can't buy food with gold, you can't go to the store with gold. Wrong. This would definitely solve that. But if we go back to what's happening in Venezuela currently right now, people are shaving off little pieces, shaving gold, and using it to buy food, to buy goods and services, to buy a haircut. They're shaving gold and just using grams of gold to buy everyday items. And that's exactly what this does. And these people out there that think gold's a barbarous relic, that you need something electronic, digital, to go to the store. Well, if the power goes out, grid goes down, good luck with that. But if you want to hold something real, then you need, and you want to protect yourself from this surging inflation, you need something like gold. But I think this is very, very interesting, and we'll see where it goes. But it's already playing out in Venezuela. And these people who are so anti-gold, because it's not a Ponzi scheme, it's not a get-rich-quick scam, gold holds accountability. A country on a gold standard must have accountability. It can't just print money out of thin air and start wars all over the world. It can't print money out of thin air and print military bases all over the world. It can't manipulate economies all over the world by just printing currency. It can't enslave the entire world without printing, okay? But if you have accountability, you have physical money like gold, you can't go around starting wars and enslaving other nations because there's accountability. You can only spend as much as you have, right? And if you don't have the gold to start a war, if you don't have the gold to go and build bases around the world, then you can't do it. So gold holds accountability to nations. And that's why so many nations hate it, because of accountability. It's so much easier to print money and start wars, invade countries, and enslave nations, because when you have the world reserve currency, that's what we do. But I think that's wrong, and I think that the only way that we get out of this mess is you would have to go back to a gold standard. You have to revalue gold, and that would be a huge, huge number. You'd have to back the currency, whether it's digital or a cash type currency or the dollar, backed by gold. That's the only way I see we could get out of this. And of course, there would be a lot of pain and suffering. We could no longer invade the world. It would change things for the military industrial complex without a doubt. But that's the only way we get out of this. Otherwise, the Fed is in a corner. If it continues to print money, we're heading to Venezuela. I hope you have gold. If it stops printing money, the stock markets are going to crash. And at that point, good luck and God bless if you're vested in these markets, because you will get wiped out. So either way, your purchasing power is going to get absolutely destroyed, or your pensions and your 401ks, money markets, and your stocks are going to get destroyed. So it's going to be very, very ugly. But right now, the way I see it, people are getting destroyed with stagflation and shrinkflation. The opportunity inequality, wealth inequality that's out there, it's also historic at a record number. And it's going to get much, much harder for people to live day to day. If you have debt, get that debt paid off. It's going to get really, really hard to pay down debt. And, people think that they're going to have a job tomorrow. Their spouse will have a job tomorrow. Think what could happen. Worst case scenario, you lose a job, your spouse loses a job, and that income's not coming in. You do not have a cash flow. You do not have a cash flow coming in. It doesn't matter at that point if interest rates are up or down. You don't have a cash flow, you're in big trouble. So I'm going to leave it there today. We will see what happens with these markets this week. We will see where the inflation, where the CPI number comes in this week. We'll see how manipulated that number is. Will it be 7.2%? Will it be higher? Will it be lower? Let me know. Comment down below. Again, I don't believe anything at this point. I don't believe any of this data. The unemployment numbers, the inflation numbers, the housing numbers, it's all a big giant scam. And the only number you need to be worried about now is you and how prepared you are. How much money do you have put away? Cash, precious metals, assets. How much do you have put away in case you lost your job? If this thing really begins to get out of control, inflation gets out of control, look, everywhere I go, they're closing early because nobody's working. Many places close permanently because nobody's working. Hiring signs everywhere. I've never seen anything like it. I don't understand it. Who's working? How are people paying the bills? this ends bad, ladies and gentlemen. This ends really, really bad, because guess what? The price of food's not going down. The price of gasoline's not going down. The price of rent's not going down. None of this is going down anytime soon. And if nobody's working and people aren't paying their bills, and malls continue to go out of business, and stores continue to go out of business, and restaurants continue to go out of business, and municipalities aren't bringing in the taxation that they did a couple years ago, something's got to give. And this inflation is going to just continue to decimate the middle class and the poor. I'm going to leave it there. God bless. Give this video a thumbs up, share it, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel. And I look forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon. Stay safe out there. Stay close to God, and pray for this country. We're in big trouble.